Welcome back to the Performance Circus with your very lovely host, Rebecca Cole, and myself, Mitch Creek. Beck, how are we doing, darling?
I am great. I can't wait to get into this power app.
You look fabulous. We've just had a conversation with one of the most fascinating human beings I've ever spoken to. Track and field athlete, world connoisseur in fashion, business off-field, Morgan Mitchell. Hearing her story, coming from the west side of Melbourne, out in Werribee, it was such an enlightening experience just to hear about how she's been able to utilize her chosen discipline in sport, profession, career to, give her so much. Like she's been successful. She's an Olympic runner. She's done all these amazing things on field, but it's her off field accolades that have really, separated her from a lot of other athletes. And I know for us, it's very hard sometimes. And I know, especially for you and I guess the inequality that we do see with, you've got to work maybe a full-time job. You've got, bills to pay, and your basketball career maybe doesn't always cover it for every single, woman or man on the team. So I think today's power episode is really cool just to be able to talk about the off-field, the other choices we actually can make in this world and how we set ourselves up for success off-field, because for both of us, we, have come through a system and, we both didn't really have silver spoons in our mouth at all, but it's how do we generate an opportunity for ourselves, life after sport? And I think, we started talking originally and it was, you went, like my head's going to explode. Like, what are you talking about? All these different things. And, you're a lot smarter than I thought. And I was like, well, I'm not offended, but I am definitely very conscious about talking about certain things and things that I don't understand. But for a lot of people at home that listen and, they're not professional athletes, we're typically stuck in, for us, it's a basketball cycle. That's who we are. It's what people identify us as, not who we identify as. But at some point in time, that's going to stop. And for a lot of people at home, they might be in a situation that is eventually going to stop. Or maybe it doesn't serve them the way that it feels like it used to. Maybe the job doesn't feel as rewarding as it used to. Maybe, going to your 9 to 5 isn't really what you want to do. And you're seeing these other people in this world set themselves up in other avenues. So I guess I want to kick this off with, for you and I especially, we're getting to the latter stages of our careers. I know it's very upsetting. We're both starting to get emotional.
Why?
No,
I want to be 12 and my joints feel great forever.
I know. I don't want to have to rub Voltaren on me like it's bloody baby oil.
Yeah, I chew that naproxen like that's a vitamin C tablet.
Yeah, the ulcers are getting really bad on my stomach.
That's a fuck. Yep, can relate.
Yeah, so we are getting to the latter parts of our career, but we are in our prime. We are as good physically and mentally aligned as we're going to be. And I guess for me, I started to think about life after sport, what I want to do. And honestly, 2-3 years ago, no fucking clue. Yeah, is that something for you now as well? And I know since we've started talking a lot more and doing these podcasts and communicating, here and then outside, is that something you start to think about and what those things might be that you want to start to pivot into as your career doesn't take a turn to the end? It's just more, okay, now I have a choice whether I want to retire or not now, not more of the I'm retiring because I have to and no one wants me or my body's broken. What am I going to do? Is that something that you've put time into and thought into, and how does that look for you moving forward?
For sure, but I wouldn't say it was even like 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was probably still in that mindset of I am just a basketballer, accepting a part of your certain career, depending if that's sport, life, business, whatever it is over, and finding that real authentic you and what is I've been so blessed to wake up every morning and work and do what I'm so passionate about, and that's playing basketball. What the hell is the other thing I'm passionate about? Because that's all I've been doing is waking up, playing ball, going to the gym, watching film, etc. So for me, I think it was once I accepted I am more than just a basketballer, and hey, bring so many other things to the table. Also, I don't want to be the smartest in the room. I want to learn so much. Like you said, I've learned. That was a compliment when I said that. I was like, you just know so much. Like, I'm seeing your accountant tomorrow to figure out adult life stuff. So it's like, that is so exciting as well. For me, I love basketball. I'm so passionate about it. But here I am also so excited for other great things that are happening to me that I'm also passionate about, which I think I didn't know I would ever find something that made me feel the way it did on a basketball court, because that's a different special experience. So, I think I always knew I loved people. I loved talking. Probably makes sense why I'm doing this with you right now, creating a podcast. But I never knew what my avenue could be. Like you said, being a female athlete, but especially basketball, it's not as a marketed sport in the country compared to others. So having my foot in the door already, say maybe compared to, the netballers or the swimmers or the AFLW, we don't quite have that backing or viewership. So it's also good knowing, hey, I've worked hard to try get to these places and do these things. And I think media, probably classic, athlete goes to media sort of stuff. So like I've been doing some commentating and have really enjoyed that. But I think what I've loved is doing this podcast with you, because it is a passion project. And, when we were setting it up, we're like, these are our ideas and we really want to go down this way, because that one, we get the best out of ourselves. Also, the listeners and viewers will be actually taking in something that is meaningful to us, and therefore they're probably going to learn and grow more. There are other opportunities, I wish maybe I had, whether that is more in the marketing side, to really brand myself that, Morgan spoke about. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not on that level, but I think what was so empowering about her is that she literally is like an onion. Like, you pull off one layer and you find something else new about Morgs. You pull off another layer, you're like, oh my God, like there's so much to her. And at the same time, she's stayed so true and authentic to herself. Like you said, her upbringing, what she went through, how she got to where she is today. I feel like anyone can relate to that. If you're being your true authentic self and you're working your butt off to try get things to better yourself or start a new career, it doesn't have to be sport. It can be, it's never too late to change who you are, what you believe in, or what you want to start. You're never too old for that. So I think that was something inspiring. Talking to Morgs was like, hey, if I want to start something new, I can do it. Like it's not too late as long as I'm passionate about it and I wake up every day being like, this is my purpose, let's get better. I think that's something I really resonated with, and also I think something I get excited to, wake up out of bed for. I
like that. We really got there in the end.
Yeah.
You're spot on. I think we get so fixated on, the weekends, the games, the trainings, the gym, the recovery, and everything in that nutshell of like, oh, this is really nice, we're in a fishbowl. But there does come a certain point where you go, well, maybe there is more out there for me than just playing basketball. And I know, as I said to you, like, have you set up a business? Have you set up this? Have you set up, how are you doing this with your tax? And you're like, what the fuck is all that? I said, all right, well, here's my accountant. Go and have a chat to her. And, she's been incredibly, exhilarating for me, because I get full of excitement because all of a sudden there's something I don't know and I have no clue about it. And then it's like, well, you can maximize your earning potentials. You can set up and create different, avenues that you can look and explore in. And I think everyone needs to really take a second to go, have I really understood, my finances, what's coming in, what's going out, what the monthly return on investments, have I got any, have I not, what's a liability? There's so many different, things we have to try and focus on. And when we're out of school, we got no frigging clue what we have to do. I had no idea at all what I was going to do. I came out, I went to Adelaide and I got paid and I was like, whoa, got money. This is awesome. I made 30 grand for the year. And my first paycheck was like not a whole lot. And I spent all of it in about 9 days, realizing I had 21 more days until I got paid again. And I was like, well, I am in a lot of trouble.
So what did you spend that on? I want to say it was like a fresh motorbike.
No, I was literally, this is my first time away from the institute and out of Horsham. And I walked into Adelaide and I was like, I need a house. So I went and got a house and I, start paying rent. And then they're like, so before you pay the rent, you have to pay a bond. I was like, oh, okay. So what's the bond? They're like 6 weeks rent. And I was like, fuck, that's my month's pay. Like, jeez, what am I going to do now? And they go, well, what are you going to sit on? I was like, my ass. And they go, in your house, dickhead. I was like, oh, a bed, a couch. Well, I need a table. And then I didn't have anything in my house. I went on Facebook Marketplace and I went on the other one that they have, Gumtree.
Oh, yeah.
Literally went on Gumtree, and I went to the free section. I furnished my house with free stuff. Now, I didn't have the best mattress. I probably had bed bugs, but my couch was old, and I had a steam cleaner, and I was like, this is really bad. I'm not in a great position. Then you have a house. Okay, what are you going to do in your house? You're going to eat. Well, what am I going to eat? Well, I need to go do a shop. Well, there's $500 for my first shop, bin bags and everything you need. And then it was like, we need cutlery and plates and bowls. And I was like, fuck, Mom, what am I doing? Like, how do I set where am I at? I had no idea. And it was a circus of just disasters that kind of went on for my first few years. Then you start to make a tiny bit more money. We're not even making six figures yet. And you're sitting there going like, great, more money. This is awesome. Opportunities. Then you're like, my whole goal when I was young was I want to make six figures. If I can make $100,000 a year, I'm the most successful person in the world. Like, call me Bill Gates Creek. Like, wicked. But then I realized $100,000 doesn't get you very far. And then in a household, if you have a wife and you have kids, that definitely doesn't get you very far. So how do we now maximize our lives, the time we have, setting intentions and setting out a pathway to say, well, what am I passionate in? Maybe I have a 9-to-5 job. Our jobs are pretty much 8 to 4 most days. What else can I do? So for me, it was like, how else can I, have a way to make money so I can pay for a car? I didn't have a car. Luckily, in my contract, they're like, hey, we'll give you $2,500, I think it was, to go and buy a car. No, I didn't buy much of a car. My first car was $150, and it was a Ford Laser from 1984. And you remember that car at the Institute that everyone used to drive, and it blew up all the time, and then someone stole it and crashed it into the river. This is a true story.
Probably stole your hubcaps at some point. That happened around Canberra.
It was really bad. But it started to become, how do I now incentivize my time? Because my time is valuable. So finding out strategies and to say, okay, well, I had my certificate 3 and 4 in fitness. That was an avenue I went when I was younger, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know I could write off my car, my depreciation, my servicing, anything that needed fixing if I had it in the business. So as I got older, it was like, now I have this new information. It was like, well, if you set up this, you can write off that and you can save a bit of money at tax time. Okay, well, why didn't I get taught that at school? So for me now, it's about, well, what do I do after basketball? And I can't do it after basketball. I have to do it now. And if it starts slowly now and it's a slow burn for 2 or 3 years, well, by the end of it, maybe I can make enough money to retire from basketball when I'm ready. Not when I have to, just when I'm ready. So for me, and I know we spoke about this, but you talked about, being in media, using your voice, using your brand, using your image and your likeness to help you become the next stage of Bec Cole and who that is in this world. So, the greatest step we can do is learn. And if you're not learning, you're just staying stagnant in that same position. And we've talked about this, and we talk about the performance circus being this ever-changing landscape of information and trial and error. Does it work? Does it not work? We have to continue to do this. And if you're not happy with where you are, you're stagnant, you're feeling like, I'm working my ass off and I just can't find a way forward. Well, maybe you need to learn more information. That's the easiest way. Read it, view it, listen to it, whatever it is, digest it, write it down. Every time I have information, someone sits in a room and goes, Big Joe, we have anyone in the world. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're an artist, whether you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. If you tell me something and I don't know it, I'll write it down. What's this? What's this in the music industry? I got no idea, but I'm appeased to it. I like that. Mum was a pianist. My sister loved music as well. And then it's like, well, I don't have a passion in music. Okay, well, what am I passionate about? Well, I want to make more money. Well, how can I make more money? Do I understand how business structures work? Do I understand how my taxes work? Do I understand how setting up trusts and paying yourself and avoiding those kind of taxes the right way works? Do I have a way to have another residual income outside of my 9 to 5? Can I pick up some tutoring? Can I do some online classes? Can I review products online to make a little bit more money? Can I start a business that helps other people find that way to do it? And then all of a sudden, we have a bit of wealth creation. And for me as a person who had no idea, and my family works so hard, and my dad's retired now, thankfully. My mum works her ass off at a golf club all week, every week. And now I'm in a position where I've set enough things up where I can now help her weekly. I can now give her the freedom of choice to say, if I need to retire at some point in time soon, maybe she has that choice. And maybe she doesn't want to. She's a creek. She's a Walder. She just wants to work her ass off until, she's 120 and, we found a way to keep her alive forever. But I think this is the exciting part of our journey now is we're captains, we're leaders, we're humans, we're basketballers, we're, media personnel, we're doing commentary together at times, we're doing podcasts. You're now having these meetings and you're going to start to bring on this new wave of information. Talk me through how exciting, I guess, starting to learn a whole new side of life is for you, and I guess, what's in store and what could be in store for you. But that feeling of excitement, is that something you feel, or is it a nervous energy that you're not really sure where it's going to go? Like, how does that feel for you?
It's probably a bit of both. I feel like we are athletes, so we're probably wired differently, but like I'm never satisfied, so, sort of thing. Like on occasion, maybe if you win a championship or you have a good game or a good training, you're satisfied, but that might be for one night, it might be for one day. What's something that can like keep me going? And I think I don't want to just be on cruise control. Would have I been okay with this, just, going along flatlining for, a couple of years? Yeah, I would have been a couple of years ago. Now I'm like, no, like I have this nervous energy because it is the unknown, but I'm beyond excited because I'm like, okay, listening to everyone we've spoken on this podcast with, and, we have more episodes coming out with amazing guests. It's like, if something doesn't work out, it's a lesson. And I think I'm way better at learning and taking in information. If something does not work out, okay, that's all right. This is going to help me for the next stage in my career or my next meeting that I have. And you've got to look at the positives. But, there's a few things in the works, whether they work out or not, who knows. But I think it's exciting that I'm taking this step. And I think that's something, speaking to Morgan about, was really cool, is that she put herself out there and she tried different things and she found her niche, what worked well, say in her brand, and how she connected with other people, because obviously we had her on. She's a blast of a chick. And I guess, okay, in myself, what do I really, what can I serve you with, and vice versa, to make this a great thing? So for me, yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm also super excited because all I've known is being an athlete for 31 years. And that could be the same if you're in an office job. You might have gone to high school, then you've gone to university, you studied your 4 or 5 year degree, and then you've gone straight into the workforce. Maybe you're not the same person as you were 5 years ago in that job position. Or maybe, hey, I want to be better, I want to be higher up, but that opportunity isn't given to me. It's never too late to either start again, find something else you're passionate about, and really just like leap into it. And I think talking with you, off the potty on FaceTime about completely things that have, are not relevant to being an athlete is super exciting, and I'm like super grateful to learn off, because I think this is why we have this podcast. It's not just for athletes, it's for the everyday person. How can you be your best self, to produce your best self and live a life that you want to live first of all, and then have fun with your friends and family around you?
And the thing that I take from that is money isn't everything.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, when I've been some of my happiest days is when I made the least amount of money. And sometimes when I've had the most money in my accounts, I felt the most, sheltered and lonely and isolated, because, you do all this work and you try all these things, and something works, something doesn't. You put some money into something and you're like, oh, I hope this blossoms. You put a few nest eggs away and you work behind the scenes, and all of a sudden, something works and you're like, whoa, fantastic. How good's this? This is exciting. You've got all this joy and excitement and, what's next? What's next? I want to try the next thing. And then it might be fail. And then fail. And you're like, oh, fuck, this is a lot harder than I thought. Well, it worked the first time. Why didn't it work every other time? And having the bravery to take that step. And I am by no means the smartest person in any room, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that I am probably one of the dumbest people in most of the rooms that I try and put myself in, because it means I'm putting myself in a situation where people are a lot smarter than me. And in those people probably, have a lot more, worldly experience. They have experience in business, in life, in communication, in whatever it is. There's normally an abundance of something they have that I don't have yet. And it's not about always just making money, because it doesn't serve anything except a couple of dollars in your account when you look on your ANZ app and you're like, oh, that's sick. And you close and you look up and you're like, oh, well, this is actually really sad. And there's been a lot of times where I felt I should be really proud of myself, but I don't feel very proud of myself. But then the times where I do my Wolfpack hoops, I started it 4 months ago on a limb, like, oh, let's just go to and do a camp. Let's try and do 3 camps and just see how it goes. And the first couple, we spent like a lot of time, like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks working, preparing, planning, everything, only to have like 15 people turn up. And I was like, Jesus, like, I thought I was a bit more liked than that. And you're like, well, this didn't work. Maybe the business model doesn't work. Maybe it's never going to work. And then the camps go along and all of a sudden it was like, we're not really getting the numbers I thought we would get. It's not really doing what I thought it was going to do. This doesn't really, give me a career after basketball. And, with the products you're giving and you're teaching and how you're delivering the message, maybe it doesn't always align, but I've been willing to try it. And I'm willing to keep trying it now. And now I'm seeing the other side of it. Like I can now maybe bring on yourself. I can go and bring on another athlete from another state or another team and say, hey, look, let's be a part of something special. But I would never have done this. 5 years ago, I would have just said, look, it's too hard and I'm happy with what I'm doing right now and it's never going to end. And for some people, it may never end. You might want to live in the CBD and have a corporate job and, be a suit person your entire existence, and that's fine. But for me, it's about, who are you really? And I've learned more about you in these podcasts than probably a lot of people ever have. And now a lot of people hopefully feel like they can connect with us because we're just real people that go, fuck, we don't have to pay bills. And geez, like how do I set up my internet connection? And, I want some good Wi-Fi. Like, if I want to buy a house, like how do I have to do that? I have to save that much money? Interest rates are doing what? And you're like, what the hell does all this mean? This environment's so much harder. My dad looked at me and goes, why don't you have a house yet? And I was like, because the average house now in Melbourne is about $880,000 a couple of years back. And I said, Dad, how much did your first house cost? And he said, $9,000.
Free.
I was like, gee, boy, it's not bad at all. Like, I hope my house costs $9,000. I live in Brunswick.
Right.
Be in Brighton. What's that cost you? 14,000. That's pretty good. So the economy's changed. Yeah. We as athletes have to change, and people that listen to this, hopefully, that are playing, and I hope a lot of people that are playing any kind of sport, that they're doing something they love, or maybe it's just a passion project that you do. Maybe you've started, designing art pieces and you're now selling them by the truckload, and you've started to make all this money. Like, how can you have that money work for you in a way that, it might be small. It might be $50 a week. It might be $1,000. It might be 10 grand a week, but wherever you're at, you're never too old to start. You're never too uncomfortable to try it, because I did, and I keep doing it, and I keep trying new things, and I keep stuffing things up. And then I go, wow, okay, great. And then my accountant goes, well, you've got like 5 things on the go. How about you just focus on 2? And you go, that's a really good point. And that's where, when we started talking, it was like, okay, now Bec, like, what are you going to do? And when you didn't really give me a super clear answer, I was like, well, have you set up certain things? Have you given yourself an opportunity to flourish? Now the cool thing is we get to go on a journey together where, like I might even drop a news bomb, but having you as a part of being probably the only main female ambassador for what I want to do, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about tomorrow. We actually were catching up, but to have someone of your caliber and your presence to be a part of something that I've started, hopefully ends up being a yes, and you get to be a part of that, something special. And when we build this thing, I know it could be something incredible, but being an ambassador for young women is one of the biggest things that I want to try and do. And I love when I have a camp and I've got 15 girls and I got 15 boys. I'd rather have 30 girls and no boys, because I honestly think women are fundamentally a lot better at basketball than we are. We get a lot more distracted at other things. Oh, look at that pretty light. I think the women's game is a lot more fundamental, and that's why I like coming and watching you play, and I like watching some of the other women play, because it's exciting. So I know for me and for anyone at home that is in a position where maybe there is more I can be doing or I can be learning, listening to Morgan talk about her brand awareness really aligned with me, because I know my brand hasn't always been squeaky clean. I know there's been shit thrown at it and people saying this, but then there's been times where it's been the best thing in the world and everyone wants to be a part of it. And it's like, okay, well, whether people want a piece of me or not, that's okay. I'm okay if you don't like me, and I'm okay if you don't want to work with me. But if we can work together and we can make something special, well, then that's pretty awesome. And I'm really happy we started this, because I think we're helping a lot of people and we're opening a lot of doors in a lot of different avenues that isn't just two basketball captains talking shit, trying to just like spend some time, you know, thanks to champion. Like, no, we want to actually get what we're learning and then learn along the way and then speak about it. So then other people can at home might go, well, I do feel this, or maybe that aligns with me. So I'm really, I guess, full of joy that we have started this, and hopefully people continue to take a lot from it. But hopefully your meeting tomorrow with me, yeah, the boss man, is a really good one, because, you know, I think there's a huge road ahead for both of us in a lot of different spaces, and hopefully we can continue to do those together.
Amen. And I think, you know, to finish off this Power Ep, it's never too late to start something new. I think as long as you're developing and you have a growth mindset and you get used to being, what's that quote again? What's the uncomfortable?
Being uncomfortable.
Yeah, thanks. That is so important. And I think we've spoken about these things. We had this great chat with Morgan. If you align with the correct people, you become uncomfortable and you're fine with that, and you really pave your own way. Go be your best version of yourself, and good things will happen. But remember, it's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. So, Creaky, I really enjoyed that one. That was a good power up. I'm feeling quite powerful now. I feel like I want to go do 20 push-ups. But
I feel like you do 1,000 crunches and you'll be okay.
But guys, if you've enjoyed the Power Ep today, follow the Performance Circus on Spotify. Like, comment, subscribe, share it on your socials, and we'll be back the same time next week with Mitch Creek and Bec Cole.